The Stupid Zone, Part 1. Surrounded by Patriarchy!
My name is Zarna, and I'm doing this video because we need to talk. It's become clear to me that a great deal of us suffer from the illness of patriarchy, and it's not just the men who suffer. Women can be patriarchal.
There is no illness called patriarchy. There is no patriarchy here in the Western world. Try going to Afghanistan. That is where you will find patriarchy. Women can't be patriarchal. Women can hate their own gender, which you actually do because you're such a victim all the time. If you were really happy with your gender, you wouldn't be making such a big issue over being a woman and thinking that men are out to get you and so are women who don't agree with you.
So many things in our system today come from patriarchy, including racism, colonialism, capitalism, classism, and of course, sexism.
Wow.
Only a social vengeance warrior, communist socialist would throw capitalism in there to try and cry bully somebody who believes in free markets into feeling bad for believing in free markets. Capitalism has nothing to do with gender at all. Anybody can engage in capitalism, male or female. It is not a patriarchal system. Feminism is extremely sexist, extremely racist, and classist. So in this sense, feminism is patriarchy.
I'm a woman of color, so I'm going to talk about my experience.
I am a woman of color, and that is the most important thing in the whole world. Nothing else matters, but I am a woman of color. Yeah, seriously, all you care about is what is you're a woman or that you're a woman of color. And I hate that expression. It sounds so hoity-toity. It sounds just like a plantation owner who doesn't want to offend polite society. So she doesn't use words like black. She has to use person of color. Egalitarians like me, we don't care what race you are. We don't care what race we are. We don't want people like you continuing to try to bring segregation back, and that is exactly what you are doing. You make everything into a race-gender issue, and the Civil Rights Act has been passed. The Equal Pay Act has been passed. All of that has been straightened out. You have nothing to fight for. You're just making all this stuff up in your head to try and give yourself an excuse to cause trouble and try to look like some kind of faux hero or faux martyr or something. It's bogus.
But many other marginalized people, such as indigenous peoples and queer and transgender people and gender non-conforming people, will have their own thoughts on this also.
Oh, please, stop confusing ethnicity with choice. People are not being marginalized because of ethnicity or race. Unless, of course, you happen to be a Black Lives Matter person, then you are marginalizing white people. And you're marginalizing your own race because you are advocating segregationalism. So the only marginalization is actually coming from the people who are griping the loudest about marginalization. That term has entered the mainstream, but it is actually a social revenge warrior buzzword. So you pretty much have to look out for literature and broadcasts that use that word and talk about marginalized people, because that's really just a code word for saying we want you to believe that insert group of people are being discriminated against when actually they aren't. As for your experience, the video evidence is pretty clear on that, but here it is in a nutshell.
It's humongous.
You just abused a woman! A couple of months later, you got your sorry can kicked out of a city council meeting because of your conspiracy-laden hate speech. You're not the innocent little victim surrounded by patriarchy like you would like the whole world to believe. The story is quite different. So your experiences are just going to have to be looked at with objectivity rather than just sympathy and kowtowing toward you.
The challenge is that it is very hard for those who are marginalized, such as women of color, to express how they feel without being called the angry brown woman, or the angry black woman, or the nagging woman, or crazy.
How dare
dare you? How dare you? Disgusting! Disgusting!
If you act crazy, you're going to be called out as crazy, regardless of your race or your gender. If you act angry, you are going to be called angry. If you act like a nag, you are going to be called a nag, regardless of what your gender or your race is. Do you understand that?
It's because of a phenomenon called white fragility and male fragility. White liberals and men in general have been told over and over again that if they just never use the N-word and they never talk about race and they never physically molest anyone, then they're not racist or sexist. So when I point out that actually the system of power we live in ensures that all white people are racist and all men are sexist because they profit from a system that marginalizes people of color and non-males, they attack me, just as they've attacked women of color for centuries to retain their power structure.
Bull. It's pretty obvious you hate conservatives as well, because you only mentioned something about liberals learning not to say the N-word, as if liberals are the only people who care about hurting people's feelings. Bull crap. Next, you are the one who is racist and sexist because you're always turning everything into a race-sex issue. I know I mentioned that above. Is that getting in there yet? And it has nothing to do with your stupid conspiracy theories. We don't live in a power structure that enables racism and sexism. We've got equal pay for equal work. We have equal rights. Feminists are trying to push for special rights, extra rights. They want more rights than anyone else. But you're trying to get out of being judged the way you judge everybody else. You're going, oh, look at me. I'm not a male. Well, then I can't be sexist. Bullcrap. Look at me. I'm not white, so I can't be a racist. Again, bullcrap. You are racist. You are sexist.
How dare you? How dare you, you disgusting person! Disgusting!
Recently, I was sexually harassed by a man in public, on camera, and the news stations posted the video without my permission with the question, do you consider this sexual harassment? This led to a lot of people attacking me and going after me all over social media. This is what patriarchy does. It causes everyone to attack the victim, the one who is most vulnerable. This protects the system of power, which is male sexual dominance.
Oh, crap. Do I really have to do this again? Okay. Here's your sexual harassment, Zarna.
It's humongous.
You just abused a woman!
As for your squawking about the video going public now without your permission, you're just mad that things didn't go your way after you were exposed for the biggest idiot in America at that time. You wanted the video to go public all along. You were planning on it, but you wanted to be the one to release it, and you thought you would expose this guy as a sexual harasser. You must have imagined yourself as some glorious hero fighting for women's rights everywhere. But the public saw something else. They saw the truth, and they called you out on it. And you couldn't take it. So that was why you ran and hid for a couple of months. And then you came back with this big sob story. You're not a hero. You're not a victim.
Their main complaint was that I raised my voice. They questioned my sanity because I spoke up. A patriarchal society wants women to shut up, and we have a long history of men confining women to mental asylums because those women didn't behave the way men wanted them to behave. We have a long history of men saying women are crazy and emotional when they dare to speak up about abuse. We have a long history of those same men lashing out at women, assaulting them, murdering them, because those men couldn't deal with their own emotions.
I don't get emotional.
Then men complain that I raised my voice. I see what you did there. You're putting it all on men. Again. No, it's not just men complaining about you raising your voice and being an idiot. Women such as myself are thoroughly disgusted with you too. cut the bull about men just want me to be quiet because I'm a woman and because I'm oppressed. That is absolute bullcrap. If you were a man and you were acting in the same way in that building, you would have been kicked out the same way, probably with a good deal more rough handling. People were pretty careful with you. If you were a man, you might have been just kicked to the curb. So you've got nothing to complain about. You're just trying to be a victim, and you're not. Now don't get started on all this. Men have oppressed women throughout all of human history. Heard it all before from feminists. Blah, blah, blah. Ever heard of Bloody Mary? Ever heard of Queen Elizabeth I? These weren't nice women. They had people killed. They had people tortured. Ever heard of Delphine LaLaurie? She was a slave owner. And she was also very sadistic. And she committed a heck of a lot of torture. Not only towards her slaves, which were men and women, but toward her own kids. There are a whole bunch of other stories about deadly women. There's a nice series, I shouldn't say nice, it's nice in the fact that it actually presents a balanced view about women versus men. It shows that women are just as guilty of oppression and men can be just as much a victim. It really blows your feminism crap all to heck. And that's what you need. You need to realize that you're not part of a special oppressed group. Not anymore. Not in this day and age. Not in this society.
So those men were furious because I screamed to high heaven about what happened to me. Even the security guards who witnessed it didn't call the cops to help me. They called the cops on me because I was making noise. And the cops arrived and demanded that I talk to them alone, all while they kept their hands on their guns. They didn't ask me if I was okay. They didn't suggest getting a female officer for me to talk to. They didn't give a damn about my safety. Because cops don't protect women, they protect the patriarchal power structure.
This sounds like crazy.
The guards weren't furious with you for being loud. They were probably taken aback, and who wouldn't be? You were screaming like a 2-year-old having a tantrum. That's not how adults normally behave. Regardless of gender and regardless of race. Are you getting this? Yes, you scream to high heaven, but that is not normal behavior for an adult. You were never in danger, but you posed a potential threat. That is why the guns were there. Police have guns. That is just a fact of life. You could have had weapons on you for all anyone knew. You could have been carrying a knife. You could have had a handgun. You could have had mace. Who knows? But you were violent. You were ready to kill somebody. Most people, when they get mad, they express it in the same way that I do in my videos. You can tell when somebody is annoyed by the way they talk and the way they look. You just went bat crap crazy. And your wish for a female officer? That is sexist, Zarna.
I want to say this to all my sisters and queer and trans siblings. We don't have to take the injustices, even if you think they're just little injustices. Permitting those little injustices is what leads to the larger horrors of rape and violence that we all know so well. We have to dismantle our own internalized patriarchy. If we stand up for ourselves and each other, we can change this world. Power concedes nothing without a demand, so we must demand safety. We must demand an end to rape culture. We don't exist for men.
Look, Zarna, I already explained that before. We do not live in a rape culture. I already explained why. And no amount of stupid troll or propaganda video that you insert into your little rant is going to make your point right. There is absolutely no comparing Mr. Pantoja to the diptards that you featured in this video, the trolls and the MGTOW or whatever they were in those feminist propaganda videos, or the MGTOW or whatever you got those freaks from. I don't know where you got them from. I don't care. But you were not subjected to injustice because of Mr. Pantoya's name prank. It was an innocent name prank. He was talking about his weight, not his privates, as you so wished he would have been. You were just looking for some reason, some excuse to ruin somebody's day, preferably a white male. And you got your wish. But then you also got a bunch of notoriety that you can't handle. Notoriety and flack which you deserve. As for your creepy comment about your trans siblings, it sounds like you have more than one trans in your immediate family? Well, that's what it sounds like. And if you were talking about the worldwide scene, love to break it to you, but I'm not one of your sisters. And by the way, I know that we women do not exist for men. I didn't need you telling me that. I don't want you telling me anything about women and what you think we need, because you are not a savior to women. You are not a hero to women. You are just a poor little cog in the feminism hate cult.
We can encourage the men who actually give a damn about protecting others to work with us to dismantle this patriarchal system. Patriarchy hurts men too. It prevents them from truly connecting with the rest of us. It makes them isolated and lonely and so emotionally fragile. So let's work together.
You just described the toxic effects of feminism.
We can do this if we live with honesty and dignity and courage. We can do this.
Okay. You work for us, so you don't work for us. So that means I don't have to do what you want. You don't work for us, that means I don't have to do what you want.
Stop raising your voice at me.
What is your name?
Right now you are breaking our building rules. You're being
No.
eating
So I don't have to do what you want. So fuck off. Who are you? Who are you? Did you go after the person who sexually harassed me? Did you go up? This is fucking a-holes. Get your ass in order and go after the person who sexually harassed me.
Honesty, dignity, and courage? All of these things utterly lacking here. Well, that's it for this video. And I wish I could say it's the end of it, but there is more coming.